Welcome to Heartglow CEO, where high achievers evolve into purpose-driven powerhouses. I'm Casey Rossi, your integrative leadership coach. Join us to break free from people-pleasing and burnout, exploring mindset, embodiment, and soul alignment. Discover expert insights, success stories, and actionable tips for holistic wealth on your terms. This is where transformation meets the modern female leader. Let's go. Hey, beautiful soul. Welcome back to Heartglow CEO. Today is a special day, and not just because we're here together, which I am always grateful for, but because today marks both the spring equinox and International Happiness Day. And if there was ever a day made just for you, this might be it. So take a deep breath with me, let it all go, and let's drop in together. The spring equinox is nature's perfect reminder that balance isn't about perfection. It's about harmony. It's the moment where light and dark are equal, inviting us to pause and realign. Think about that for a minute. Where light and dark are equal. So you have this yin-yang synergy. They're both in equality. No better, no worse, but they work in harmony. For so many of us, especially if you're someone who constantly gives, who carries the invisible weight of expectations, who has that little voice whispering, "You're not doing enough," this is your invitation to shift. Nature isn't forcing the flowers to bloom today or any day. The trees aren't hustling to push out new leaves. There is a rhythm, a flow, a trust. What if you allowed yourself that same grace? What if you didn't have to be everything for everyone, but instead trusted the season that you're in? Think about that for just a moment and invite it to sink into your bones. Can you just be here in this moment, knowing and trusting there is no problem to solve and nothing to fix? Can you just accept yourself for what is right here, right now? Now let's introduce a little science. Studies in positive psychology show that happiness isn't just about external circumstances. It's about intentional practices. I love that. Research from Harvard's Positive Psychology Center suggests that activities like gratitude journaling, acts of kindness, and mindfulness can increase baseline happiness levels. These are all free, they are all readily available, but they do take some intention and discipline to incorporate into your busy life. The good news is that with repetition, it will start to feel easier and natural. When it comes to balance, neuroscience tells us that chronic stress floods our body with cortisol, keeping us stuck in fight or flight mode. But something as simple as deep breathing or focusing on heart-centered emotions like appreciation and love, they have been shown to regulate your nervous system and increase resilience. I think that's fabulous. The HeartMath Institute calls this coherence. When our heart and brain work in sync, we feel more grounded, clear, and emotionally balanced. If you've ever felt that balance is impossible, know this. It's not about doing more. It's about aligning with what already supports your well-being. Let's cheer for that. All right, next is happiness, or better yet, let's talk about joy. Because the truth is, happiness can sometimes feel like one more thing on our to-do list. Be happy, stay positive, choose gratitude. Are you catching me? But joy isn't something you achieve. It's something you allow. I love the work of psychiatrist David R. Hawkins. He is well known for the scale of consciousness. I've talked about this before. I think it's fabulous. I'll put something in the show notes so you can see the visual if you're a visual learner like me, but it includes a vibration for several emotions. The scale of consciousness ranges from 0 to 1,000, with different emotional and mental states corresponding to different levels of consciousness. Now, joy calibrates at 540. a high frequency state associated with profound inner peace and unconditional love. And I think it's interesting to mention that 700 and above is really looked at as enlightenment. So when you're thinking about joy at 540, there's very few emotions that top that. So it's a really beautiful state to aspire to and to magnetically attract to you. So much of that happens in our mental state, what we're saying to ourselves, but also just in general being around beauty. They've even looked at the hertz of certain things, such as like roses. I remember roses being something that has a really high vibration. Also, a dog wagging his tail or a kitty purring. Those will also bring in these high frequencies, which can be associated with that profound inner peace, unconditional love, and joy, which I think is pretty fabulous. Now, scientific research also supports this. You know I love my science nuggets, and I think it helps really ground something that can feel more elusive or a little bit too woo-woo. I like having that balance of, okay, show me some of the data behind this. And so some of the data is that positive emotions elevate our heart rate variability, our HRV, and they also create neurochemical shifts. They can increase dopamine and serotonin. And these are our neurotransmitters linked to well-being, which I love. I mean, these are things that I'll probably do a whole episode just on those neurochemical shifts and the different hormones that we can control. We can control with certain things, with certain herbs, with certain essential oils, which I find really fascinating. But for today, what's important is to know that this elevated state not only enhances your personal resilience, but also influences those around you due to emotional contagion. So you've heard me talk about emotional contagion before. It is a phenomenon where emotions spread through social interactions. By embracing joy, you naturally uplift your environment, creating a ripple effect of positivity and higher consciousness. This also really ties in to heart math, where we're looking at the heart as being this magnetic force that they have actually tested goes out 3 to 6 feet beyond your physical structure. So I like to look at it almost like we're in this beautiful ethereal silver bubble, if you will, and we're taking all of our emotions, both positive and negative, around us. We're kind of bouncing along through life in this beautiful sphere, but we also have this incredibly powerful, if we have the intention, we have this power to create that positive ripple effect, to be kind of an activator of positive emotions. So when we're looking at catching something, we certainly don't want to catch a cold. We don't want to catch negativity. We don't want to catch drama. But actually, if we have this focus of being positive, of embracing joy, of doing things that increase our level of consciousness, people, places, things, thoughts, everything that's within our control that can naturally uplift us, we can then allow people to catch our joy. We can allow people to catch our clarity. We can allow people to catch our brightness, our resourcefulness, our tuning into unlimited potentiality and abundance, which for me is so powerful and such a thing to strive for. I hope you agree. So what if today, instead of chasing happiness, you simply let joy find you? And this is so simple in a way that I actually think we overcomplicate it, to be honest. It can be simple. It's not simple, but it can be simple. When you chase something, what happens? Whether it's like chasing a butterfly or even this chasing happiness, it sometimes feels like you're in this like exhausting rat race that you're never quite going to get to the end. I always think of like a hamster on the wheel, like putting in so much effort, grinding, hustling, rushing, effort, but we're never able to get to that carrot. We're never able to get to the sugar water, like whatever it happens to be, right? We're never able to get to that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. But I think sometimes when we literally look for and program our mind to seek and find the simplicity in our days that can actually fill us up. Like your morning coffee warming your hands, like the way the light streams through your window, seeing your child recognize something for the first time, that look on their face when they're learning something for the very first time. In the deep exhaling of knowing you don't have to prove your worth, that you are worthy just as you are. My invitation to you is to really look for and savor these little simplicities of joy, so you can have these like heart sparkle moments throughout your day. It doesn't have to be these grandiose things of like when your house gets paid off, or when this finally happens, or when you get that promotion, or whatever the fill in the blank is, where we're like, I'm going to wait to let myself be happy until blank, fill in the blank. But that you can just literally lean into these micro moments that can happen throughout your day, just like fairy dust, but you're aware of them. You're not letting them just happen and like cruise right onto your to-do list, but you're giving yourself a nanosecond to enjoy the miracles that are happening in your life every single day. One of my favorite quotes is, "You don't struggle your way to joy. You joy your way to joy." I could read this each and every day and be inspired by it, because I am someone that definitely came from a background and an upbringing of hard work is honest work, and that unless you have the sweat of the brow, that you don't deserve. And so that really put me into overworking, perfectionism, people pleasing, and really having to feel like I had to whip crack myself in order to be worthy for fill in the blank. This is something with a lot of intention and daily work and being really mindful of. I've been able to say, you know what? I want to unsubscribe from this outdated paradigm that never served me. And so I can be very aware of it now. And maybe you can release, some perfectionism and some people pleasing as well. If you can relate to that piece where it can cause you emotional and physical fatigue, if not burnout, I just want you to know that you are not alone, and I see you. I see you, the one who's always saying yes, even when your heart is whispering or sometimes screaming no. The one who feels like she has to earn rest, who only gives herself permission to breathe every once in a while when the to-do list is done, which, let's be honest, that our to-do lists are never done because life keeps on lifing, and there is always going to be an inbox. But love, what if balance means putting yourself back into the equation? If you push yourself to exhaustion, to a breaking point, and sacrifice yourself so everyone else can be okay, who does this serve? How does it tie into your mission of service? Because I know if you're listening to this, you are a heart-centered individual. You are someone that is mission-driven, which it is like beyond just serving yourself. And in fact, many times we are last when we're mission-driven. But if you break, you know that it's not sustainable. And there are these kind of red flags coming up. There are these little knocks coming up saying, babe, it's time to change. It's time to breathe into alternatives, to rewrite your story, and to rewire your patterns. Do you agree? Awesome. I would say I agree right now, right? If you're listening to this, get your body involved. Get your emotions involved. Bust out of it just being some ear candy. And I invite you to really commit to change. Spring is the perfect time for this. You have the universal energy of change and rebirth behind you, and trust that that is a great force. And also know if you are listening to this episode after March 20th, 2025, it is always a good time to support yourself, to change for the better, and to grow toward your optimized self. So rest assured, you are listening to this message and these invitations in the divine right timing for you. However, spring is about rebirth. keep in mind that it doesn't mean you have to force a new version of yourself into existence. This is so important to really make the delineation between power, which is that internal fire inside of you, that calm confidence standing on a firm foundation. That's power. That you have the self-efficacy to know that you can and will do hard things, and that you will get through anything that life is coming in, even if it's difficult, those challenges, those road bumps. Power is just knowing. Faith is knowing also that there's hope, that there's light at the end of the tunnel. So to me, kind of like power and hope go together, which is very different from force and push and hustle and grind and whip crack. And I know from being a previous whip cracker, we are harder or hardest on ourselves than anyone else around us. But this is your time now to gently shred and shed what no longer serves you. Just let it go. Let it go. It's not enough to just know it. That's the first step. Absolutely. Amen. Thank you so much for that insight and awareness. But if we just keep it chin up, we will constantly be in struggle and pain. This is about embodying and letting it flood your whole entire soma, taking in the information, and then literally allowing it to guide what your next best step is. Not what your mind is telling you to do, but the integrated heart-mind, the integrated holistic soma of your whole entire being. All right. I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down. What if today you let go of just one tiny thing? One expectation, one obligation that isn't yours to carry? What if today you choose you? Before we close, I want to offer you a simple practice to honor the season of renewal. So you can find a quiet space. You can bring your hands to your heart and feel its rhythm. The steady, loving drumbeat of your own existence. I invite you to whisper to yourself, I am enough. I always have been, and I always will be. So take a nice deep breath into that. I am enough. I always have been, and I always will be. Good. And then ask yourself, what is one thing I'm ready to receive? It could be ease, support, play. Whatever it is, let it be something that fills you, not something that drains you. Spring reminds us that no matter how long winter feels, the light always returns. Think about that for a minute. No matter how dark your day is, no matter how long and dreary winter season is, the light always returns, and so will yours. You are already blooming, even if you can't see it yet. This season is yours. Let the light of today remind you that you are the light. Think about that. You are the light. If this episode spoke to your heart, share it with a friend who also needs this reminder. And if you want to continue this conversation, come and find me on Instagram at HeartGlowCEO. I'd love to hear what you're calling in this season. And if you're ready to go deeper, check out my latest offerings at HeartGlowCEO.com. Until next time, my friend, keep glowing. You are enough just as you are.